In Generation 3, the odds of encountering a shiny Pokemon are 1 in 8,192. The shiny charm, which was introduced in Generation 5, greatly helps with hunting shinies, but in Pokemon Emerald, this simply does not exist. In this video, I'm going to be hunting a full team of shinies to beat my favorite Generation 3 game, Pokemon Emerald. Initially released in 2004 in Japan, and then to NA in 2005, I was just a baby. I barely knew how to do calculus, but one thing I did know how to do is play Pokemon. Generation 3 is known for being some of the best Pokemon games out there, but one mechanic of Pokemon Emerald that isn't great are how shinies are found. The odds are 8,192, but there's a lot more to this than you would think. We'll get into that later. This is my greatest shiny hunting journey I have ever had, and I hope you enjoy because these take forever to make. My goal for as long as I could remember has been to reach 100,000 subscribers, so if you enjoy, subscribing would literally mean the world to me. And with all that out of the way, let's get into it. As I said, shiny hunting in Pokemon Emerald is a pain. It's completely possible to find shinies without understanding how shiny frames work, although it is very helpful to understand how they do work. In Pokemon Emerald, shiny Pokemon are identified by a specific calculation that involves a trainer's ID, secret ID, and the Pokemon's personality value. When encountering a Pokemon, the game generates a personality value, and if this aligns with certain criteria relative to the IDs, a shiny Pokemon will appear. This is referred to as a shiny frame, which is a specific moment in the game's RNG sequence. This RNG determines not only a Pokemon shiny status, but even if a Pokemon appears in the first place. Each shiny frame is consistent, so if you replicate the same exact starting conditions and hit that frame, you'll encounter a shiny Pokemon every single time. For example, people who speedrun these Generation 3 games use RNG manipulation to get Pokemon with certain values. For shinies specifically, it takes your trainer ID and your secret ID into account, so it's not possible to know your guaranteed shiny frame because these would be randomized at the start of the game. Anyway, for this video, we're going to be hunting for Torchic. There are ways to optimize getting an early shiny frame by resetting your entire game over and over. Otherwise, you'd be left sitting on the starter select screen for a while to ensure you don't select that same non-shiny frame. I'll leave a video in the description below that goes over this in detail in case you want to try this for yourself. For Torchic specifically, the biggest issue was not selecting the same non-shiny frames over and over. The worst part is, half the time you don't even know if that's what you're doing, which could cause even more wasted time on a challenge that already takes months to do. Resetting over and over for your starter is usually one of the most tedious tasks for these kinds of videos. Surprisingly enough, this could have took a lot longer than it did. While I was looking for the shiny Torchic, I actually ended up running into the wrong shiny. Let me show you exactly what happened as I tell you about today's video partner, NordVPN. Cybersecurity in this day and age is more important than ever. Trust me, I would know because my passwords were breached in a recent attack. With more and more advanced cyber attacks happening to everybody these days, NordVPN is a solution that I wish I had sooner. Nord does everything from encrypting your online traffic to alerting you when your credentials appear on underground hacker websites. All it takes is just one click to turn these on, making this as easy as ever. If I had NordVPN in the past, they would have alerted me that my passwords were compromised, and on top of that, Nord could have prevented it from happening altogether. As I said, I ended up running into the wrong shiny, that of course being a Zigzagoon, but this actually tells us a lot more than you would think. Running into a shiny Zigzagoon means that we're about 140 frames off getting a shiny starter, or around 2 seconds. Since I've partnered with NordVPN, they're offering a deal to you guys using my exclusive link. Every purchase of the 2-year plan comes with an extra 4 months completely for free. This actually applies to all plans, standard, plus, and complete. They even offer a 30-day money-back guarantee, so if you don't love every part of what Nord has to offer, there's literally no downside. Worst case scenario, you get to use one of the best VPNs for 29 days. Make sure to use my link nordvpn.com/tionvpn to get the extra 4 months for free. Again, that's nordvpn.com/tionvpn to get that 4 months for free. Thanks again to Nord for making videos like these possible to do. 3,773 encounters later, I finally get the shiny Torchic that I was looking for. This is the first shiny of the video, and we're way below odds. I cannot be happier with this. Shiny Torchic also looks amazing. I think its shiny sprite is a lot better than its normal sprite. I know I say that about a lot of shiny Pokemon, but that's just because most of the time, they're just really cool. I also ended up naming Torchic KFC. Next, I get into a very close battle with the rival Brendan because I chose May, winning with only 1 HP. Then I'm off to Petalburg City, where I help Wally catch his very first Pokemon. I tried to help Wally shiny hunt for a Waltz, but eventually he just gave up and settled for a normal one. Next, we have the battle a Team Aqua Grunt in Petalburg Woods, and he only has a level 9 Poochyena, and at this point, KFC's at level 11 with Ember, so this was no issue. Now, I'm off to Rustboro City, home of the Rock-type gym leader Roxanne, but before we could challenge Roxanne, we need a few more levels. After defeating some trainers, KFC reaches level 16, where he evolves into Combusken. I definitely think Combusken looks pretty cool, but not as cool as Torchic Torchic did. The thing that is going to help us a lot is that Combusken learns Double Kick at level 16 when he evolves. And since Roxanne is a Rock-type gym leader, we should have no problems, and then we can hunt for our next team member. Roxanne has 3 Pokemon and leads off with a Geodude at level 12 who goes down with only 1 Double Kick, or 2 Double Kicks depending on how you look at it, and the same thing happens to the second Geodude. Last out is Nosepass at level 15, and Nosepass is a lot more bulky than the Geodudes are, and it's able to tank a Double Kick pretty well as it misses a Rock Tomb and eats an Ornberry, but unfortunately for Nosepass, that's not quite enough to survive another Double Kick, and he ends up going down. Now with the Stone Badge in hand, we could take Mr. Briny's boat to Dewford Town, where we'll hunt for our next team member. There's not much to hunt besides Magikarp on the actual island, but if we head northwest to Granite Cave, we have plenty of options, like Geodude, Zubat, Makuhita, Sableye, Abra, Aeron, and Mawile. All these options are great, but Geodude and Abra's final evolutions are locked behind trades, so it would be ideal to get something else. I was here for weeks looking for just one Pokemon. Instances like these are why some of these videos take so long to make. Sometimes it's not that bad. Other times, you go crazy once you're past a certain amount of encounters. This one took 35,830 encounters to find, and it might be the coolest shiny I could have gotten out of this cave. I got a shiny Sableye, which I've never seen before, and I think it looks awesome. It was definitely worth the hunt in my opinion. Getting discouraged and fighting through that to succeed is the greatest feeling and the reason I continue to do these videos. If you are enjoying the video so far, it would mean a lot to me if you consider subscribing. If not, that's completely fine. Just let me know down in the comments below how I can improve the video for next time, so maybe I could get you then. I end up giving Sableye the nickname Jules because its eyes are jewels. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Now we could finally take on Brawly. Brawly is a fighting type gym leader, and Sableye completely walls Brawly. He has nothing on his team that could hit Sableye, so this will be extremely easy. Brawly leads off with a Machop at level 16 and sets up bulk ups for literally no reason as Nightshade takes it down. Next is Meditite at level 16 who also goes down to Nightshade, and that leaves Brawly with his last Pokemon, Makuhita. This one took a bit to take out, mainly because Sableye ran out of Nightshade PP, but with Scratch I was able to take down Makuhita and get the second gym badge. And now with the second gym badge in hand, we could take Mr. Briny's boat again, but this time he'll take us to... And I forgot to talk to Steven. After talking to Steven about a stone obsession, we are able to head to Slateport City. I have always loved Slateport. I don't know why, but something about a small city with street vendors and a place to get soda pop, the beach, it's just very relaxing and cool to me personally. I absolutely love it. Unfortunately, there are some shenanigans afoot. Team Aqua has taken over a museum, so we had to fight a couple of grunts in order to liberate the museum or something. These battles went as well as they could have. Jules just spammed Nightshade, and that was enough to win. Archie, the leader of Team Aqua, comes and complains before leaving, and now we can continue on our journey. On Route 110, we run into our rival Brendan. This causes some issues due to Brendan's Marshtomp, but Jules is able to do enough damage to Marshtomp, so when KFC comes out, he's able to finish off Marshtomp and the rest of the battle. Now it's time to head to Mauville City, home of the third gym leader Watson, who uses electric type Pokemon. Unless you're a gambling addict, Mauville is pretty uneventful. The only thing you need to do here is the gym, but you could also pick up the bike, which is very helpful. Fighting Wally in front of the gym is always funny because he wants to be this big bad Pokemon trainer, but at this point in the game he only has a level 16 Ralts who gets absolutely demolished every single time. The Watson battle was actually pretty difficult. Jules was pretty useless for this gym, so I had to rely on KFC. Watson leads off with a Voltorb at level 20 who goes down with a Double Kick, and the same thing happens with Electrike. The issue was with paralysis from Magneton. I'm unable to one-shot Magneton with a Double Kick, so I almost always get paralyzed before Watson sends out his ace. I end up getting super lucky on this attempt because I don't get fully paralyzed while fighting Manectric. He sets up a Howl as I go for a Double Kick, proccing his Citrus Berry. Then I get hit with a Shockwave as I go for another Double Kick as Watson heals Manectric back to full. I just continue to use Double Kick and pray I don't get fully parried, and that finally ends up happening. I'm able to take down Manectric and beat Watson for the third gym badge. If I got fully paralyzed while fighting Manectric even one time there, I would have lost like I did many times. But now that we got the third gym badge, we could head somewhere to hunt for our next team member. For this video, I decided to use 8 gym Pokemon. These will not be used in battle at all and only used to be doing goofy stuff like break rocks and go up waterfalls. I soon arrive in Fall Arbor Town, an ashy city that's pretty dead. But what's not dead are the options that we have on Route 114. We have options like Lotad, Lombre, Nuzleaf, Swablu, and Seviper. Seviper is probably the worst option here. It only has a 9% chance of appearing, so I'll probably be fine. Now that I have a bike, I'm able to use the Acro Bike hopping mechanic to encounter Pokemon. I don't actually know if this is faster looking back at it, but it was easier for me just to hold B instead of running. When running around, you have to be conscious of where you are. You have to make sure you're still in the grass and you don't go out of the grass, but if you just hold B, you don't move at all, so you could just hop away. Although this was kind of redundant because the amount of encounters this took to find a shiny was extremely shocking to me. After only 2,148 encounters, I find a shiny Pokemon, which is an absolute banger of a shiny Pokemon to get. I get a shiny Swablu, which has an amazing golden color to it. I think I've seen a shiny Swablu before, but seeing it again really blows my mind. This thing looks amazing. After hitting Swablu with a fake out, which did a lot more than I thought it would, I was able to catch it with just one Great Ball. That's 3 down and at least 3 more to go. There might be something after the Elite Four. You'll just have to stick around and find out. I am notoriously bad at giving nicknames, so I just end up calling Swablu Rice. As I said, Swablu looks pretty cool and I am very happy with this. Now it's time to go to Meteor Falls, where we watch Team Aqua and Team Magma say mean things to each other, and then we could fight Maxie at the top of Mount Chimney. KFC was able to completely sweep through Maxie's team. The only hit KFC ended up taking was a level 4 Magnitude from Camerupt. Other than that, it was pretty flawless. Now it's time to head to Lava Ridge Town, home of the Fire-type gym leader Flannery. Flannery was actually really annoying. This one was not easy. I literally got poison stalled by Flannery, which is wild. She actually has a pretty solid team, especially since I don't have any water or ground types. A lot of things needed to go right for me to win, so this is what I did. The goal is to set up bulk ups with KFC so something on my team is able to break through Camerupt and Torkoal. I lead off with Jules and get a crit with Fake Out, and follow that up with a Nightshade, which is enough to take down Nummel. Next out was Slugma, who is the only mon I could really set up on. I learned that only 2 Nightshades isn't enough to KO Slugma, but it is enough to do as much damage as possible, and it also gives me a free switch in into KFC. As Slugma takes down Jules, it does go for Overheat, which lowers its special attack by 2 stages. That means the next Overheat that comes out from Slugma will basically do nothing to KFC, and we're able to set up all the bulk ups that we want if I didn't get poisoned. I ended up taking a little bit of poison damage, so I stopped setting up bulk ups after 3, and plus I thought 3 was enough. Double Kick was enough to one-shot Slugma, and next out is Camerupt at level 26, who also goes down with only 1 double kick, or again 2 depending on how you look at it, and last up is Torkoal, who is a defense tank and is able to take it pretty well. Torkoal didn't take enough damage from double kick, so he didn't get healed up, and that means 1 more is enough to take it out and beat Flannery. And now with Flannery out of the way, it's time to go back to Petalburg City, get the 5th gym badge from Norman and our next team member. The normal type gym leader Norman leads off with a Spinda at level 27, and I go for bulk up as Spinda goes for side beam, doing a decent amount of damage, so next turn I end up going for double kick to take it out. Next out is Vigoroth at level 27, and after taking a slash, I take it down with 1 double kick, and next out is Lanoon, who also goes down in only 1 turn. Last out is Norman's Ace slacking at level 31, so I decide to sacrifice Rice to Arceus. This is because he's going to be slacking off next turn and we get a free turn of damage, and double kick doesn't end up doing much at all, and I know that he also has heals in the back, so I switch to Sableye. I end up getting 6 Sears off, making Slacking's defense basically nothing, so when KFC comes back in, he's easily able to finish the battle. And now with Norman out of the way, it's finally time to hunt for our next team member, and for this one, I wanted to do something pretty fun. Definitely more difficult to do, but more fun to do as well. Before we get into that though, I beat up a random trainer to get KFC to level 36, where he evolves into Blaziken, which is just a slightly cooler version of the normal one. Anyway, I decided to hunt a shiny Magikarp for absolutely no reason. The way I went about this was using an Old Rod on Route 105. On Route 105, using an Old Rod gives you a 100% chance to encounter a Magikarp, if it actually ends up biting. Sometimes nothing bites and you just waste 15 seconds of your life. With that being said, the amount of total encounters this will take will be the standard, but the time it will actually take to find one will be longer than normal. Even though this was tedious, I thought this was super fun to do, and I do not regret it whatsoever. Then again, maybe I only say that because finding a shiny Magikarp did not take as long as I thought it would. Just below odds, at 7,655 encounters, I find my shiny Magikarp. I love how shiny Magikarp looks, and in Generation 3, shiny Gyarados looks amazing as well. Too bad Magikarp's only level 5 right now, so I'm gonna give it an EXP share until it's at level 20. At level 20, Magikarp evolves into Gyarados, and then it will actually be useful in battle. I also named Magikarp High. I think Magikarp looks absolutely amazing. This is way better than its original sprite, and I think this might be my favorite one so far. Next up is the Weather Institute, but that's a bit away, and in order to get to it, I caught a Zigzagoon and taught it Surf. Again, this will never be used in battle, this is only for HMs. Eventually, I arrive at the Weather Institute, which is taken over by Team Aqua. First, it was a museum, now it's the Weather Institute. These people have to be on a list somewhere. After beating up some grunts, I have to battle Aqua admin Shelly, who gets absolutely obliterated by KFC. Team Aqua then runs away, and we're gifted a cast form. This is not worth shiny hunting for. Technically, it's possible, I think, but from what I read, it's definitely not worth trying. On my way to Fort Tree, I get stopped by my rival for a battle. He leads off with a Lombre at level 29, and to make it interesting, I switch out into Rice. Using Peck a few times is enough to take down the Lombre, but Brennan's next Pokemon Slugma manages to take down Rice. I send out Jules next to take down Slugma after a few Nightshades, and Jules is able to take down Marshtomp with a Nightshade as well. Soon after, Magikarp finally gets to level 20 where she evolves into Gyarados. Everybody knows what shiny Gyarados looks like as it's the most common shiny out there. Regardless, it still looks really nice. It still doesn't have any good moves though. Finally, I make my way to Fort Tree City, home of the flying type gym leader Winona. After scaring away a Kecleon with a scope I got from Steven, I'm able to enter the gym and take Winona on. She leads off with a Swablu at level 29 as I lead off with KFC. I go for Blaze Kick to take down Swablu and set up bulk ups on the Skarmory. Then I'm able to demolish her entire team, and that's how I got the 6th gym badge. There's only 2 more to go. Next, I make my way to the top of Mount Pyre where I get the Magma emblem, so I'm able to enter Team Magma's hideout. On the way, I get Rice up a few levels where she evolves into Altaria, which is absolutely beautiful. Then I make my way to Maxie, deep in their hideout, trying to awaken Groudon, the water type Pokemon. He challenges me to a battle, but his team is extremely weak and goes down with no issue. Next, we run into Team Aqua yet again, committing another crime. They even announced it over the loudspeakers this time, so at least that's kind of funny. In the Aqua hideout, Admin Matt challenges us to a battle, but his team is literally worse than a majority of random battles I get into. But they still manage to take off with a submarine. Now it's time for the 7th gym in Moss Deep City, and this one's a little bit different due to the gym being a double battle, but we shouldn't have any issues here. Soon we'll be hunting our next team member, which is exactly the one everybody wants to see. Tate and Liza are psychic type gym leaders, and this battle was actually pretty difficult as they really outleveled my team, so I had to grind a bit before taking them on. I lead off with KFC and High and go for Hydro Pump on Claydol and switch into Rice because I know an Earthquake is coming. I end up missing the Hydro Pump and High gets hit with a Confuse Ray as Rice and High both avoid an Earthquake because they're both flying types. Next turn, High actually hits a Hydro Pump doing a lot of damage to Claydol. I try to put Zoc2 to sleep with a Sing, but it misses as it sets up a Calm Mind. One more Hydro Pump is enough to KO the Claydol and Rice goes down to a Psychic. I send out KFC next and then do a double into Jules as I hit Zoc2 with a Dragon Rage. Zoc2 tries to hit KFC with a Psychic, but since I switched Jules in, she's immune to it. I double into Zoc2 doing a lot of damage as Lunatone continues to set up Calm Minds, which is pretty scary. I continue doubling into Zoc2 because it keeps getting healed up, but High is able to take it down with a Dragon Rage and the incoming Soul Rock takes a Nightshade from Jules doing a decent amount of damage. I then double into Soul Rock to take it out as well, but Lunatone takes out High the same turn. Next I send out KFC and continue to double into Lunatone as KFC goes down. Jules is able to finish it off for the 7th gym badge. This took a few attempts to do. Next we have to deal with Team Magma instead of Team Aqua for once. They're trying to steal rocket fuel. I think we're at NASA. This is another double battle, but since Steven is here to help us instead of talk about rocks, it's pretty easy. Next we attempt to stop Archie from awakening Kyogre, and even though we demolish him, he still wakes up Kyogre. Great. The weather is all messed up, and then both team leaders realize what they're doing might not be so good for the world. With Kyogre and Groudon both awakened, they start fighting in the middle of Sootopolis City, so they leave it up to the 10-year-old protagonist to wake up Rayquaza to break up the fight. Anyway, next we have to fight Juan, the water-type gym leader, for the last gym badge, and then it's shiny hunting time yet again. Juan is actually way easier to beat compared to Tate and Liza, so this was an easy sweep with Blaziken, even though he's a fire type. If that doesn't tell you how bad Juan is, I don't know what does. We need at least 2 more team members before we could fight the Elite Four as per my self-imposed rules, so for shiny number 5, I decided to hunt for a Pokemon in Victory Road. While we're in Victory Road, Wally rudely interrupts us here, and there's nothing really special to talk about in this battle except Jules put in a lot of work. Now it's time to shiny hunt yet again. So I got back on my acro bike and hopped away. We could get a lot of good Pokemon here, like Zubat, Golbat, Whismur, Loudred, Makuhita, Hariyama, Aeron, and Larion. I understand that Zubat wouldn't be ideal here, but obviously I would make him evolve into Crobat before going into the Elite Four. This hunt was absolutely ridiculous. This was literally my longest hunt by far. I wanted to get an easy shiny before going for the big boy that everybody wants to see, but no. This encounter took so long, I thought my game was broken or I was in some kind of shiny frame limbo. This was silly. Goofy even. But finally, after a whopping 48,792 encounters, I run into my next team member. I get a shiny Loudred at level 40, which looks decent. It's actually pretty nice. I'm just upset it took so long. And after a few Ultra Balls, it was finally mine. I named it Waka because Pac-Man. Waka still needs to evolve before going into the Elite Four, so this isn't her final form, but she's still pretty cool. Now it's time to look for our 6th team member, the one I've been hyping up, one of the best legendary shinies of all time. I'm going to be hunting for Rayquaza, but it's not going to be as easy as it sounds. Just like I explained at the beginning of the video, shiny frames for static encounters do not work the way you want them to work. In other games, Sometimes you could save in front of the Pokemon you want to hunt and just soft reset until you get lucky, but again, in this game, it doesn't work like that. Let's say, for example, you save in front of Rayquaza. You check if he's shiny, and he's not, so you reset the game. You check again, and he's not shiny again. Bad luck? Do you just need to try again 10,000 more times? No. If you encounter Rayquaza on frame 5, every single time you reset, it will never be shiny because of how Pokemon are generated in this game. So how do you hunt him? You literally just run away, go inside, go back outside, and he's there again, but this time you're on a different frame, so there's a chance he could actually be shiny. Hunting this was pretty annoying. The main issue was needing a Pokemon that could actually run away, so I had to get KFC all the way up to level 70. Even then, there was about a 10% chance that I failed to run. This really doesn't matter too much as long as I get a good amount of encounters in before I have to reset for HP reasons. But believe it or not, this was actually the shortest hunt I ever had to do. After only 934 encounters, I found a shiny Rayquaza, and I see why people say it's their favorite. This is amazing to actually encounter for myself, and of course I used the Master Ball on it because it would be silly to risk anything. But I'm so glad I got this, and to top it all off, I'm doing one more awesome shiny hunt after the Elite Four, so make sure you stick around. Welcome to the team race. Going through Victory Road is as boring as always, but something wild happened that I did not expect. Going through Victory Road like I have a million times before, I didn't expect anything, but I randomly run into a shiny Hariyama at level 42. And for this one, we have a rare live Tion reaction. Bro, what? And that's it. That's all I said. I cut him with a few Ultra Balls and named him Chance. Finally, I make it out of Victory Road, and now it's time to take on the Elite Four. And since I have 7 shinies now, I actually have to choose what team to train. And in the end, I end up bringing Waka instead of Chance because I just spent way too much time looking for it. Now let's take on the Elite Four so I could hunt just one more Mon. First up is Sydney. He uses Dark types. Since we have a level 70 Blaziken, this went exactly as you would expect. This was no issue at all. Next up is Phoebe. He uses Ghost types and leads off with the Dusclops. Jules is able to take it down, Rice is able to take the Banette down, and Blaziken cleans up the rest. Next up is Glacia, who uses Ice types. Blaziken once again cleans up this battle with no issue. Next is Drake, who uses Dragon types, so I lead off with Raze. Once again, this is a clean sweep. Raze only got hit one time from Salamence. And now it's time for the champion Wallace. Wallace uses Water type Pokemon and leads off with a Wailord at level 57 as I lead off with Raze. I go for Outrage, and somehow it's enough to one-shot this absolute tank of a Pokemon. Next out is Tentacruel, who survives one Outrage, but one more is enough to take it out. I end up getting confused, so I decide to switch out and switch back in. Melodic did do a good number to my team, but once Raze is back in, it's able to take it down with another Outrage. Next out was Gyarados, and after getting healed up a few times, it eventually goes down to Outrage as well. Next up is Ludicolo, and he does manage to get Raze pretty low, and he also manages to Leech Seed as well, but I do manage to take him down with only 37 HP left as his last Pokemon Whiscash comes out, and I'm only left with 4 HP. Outrage isn't able to one-shot Whiscash, so it ends up surviving with just a sliver of HP and takes down Raze with a Surf. So next I send out KFC, which is at full HP still, and I end up going for Double Kick, but of course Wallace ends up using a full Restore. I just continue to use Double Kicks, and eventually it is enough to take down the Whiscash. And with that, we beat Wallace and make our way to the Hall of Fame. But of course, I'm not done yet, as I'm gonna hunt one more legendary Pokemon. As soon as you beat the game, you're teleported back to your house, and you're asked by your mom what color you heard the TV guy say. And I picked blue. So now we head back to the Weather Institute and talk to the Weather Boy, and he tells us there's a drought on Route 118. And on Route 118, I find Groudon. You hunt Groudon the same way you hunt Rayquaza. You see if he's shiny, run away, and try again. As I said, this is the same way you hunt Rayquaza. You just exit the little room that he's in and go back in, and he always respawns. This one could have been a lot worse. It wasn't 100 encounters like Rayquaza, but it also wasn't 50,000 like Loudred. At the same time, this is one of those shinies that takes a while to get compared to other wild encounters because you have to run back and forth, which definitely adds up time-wise. And after 6,002 encounters, the Golden Groudon finally appears. It really seems like we have a golden theme going on in this video. And after using most of our healing items, finally Groudon gets captured with an Ultra Ball, and I name him Zuko. Getting that 100k plaque has been my goal for as long as I can remember, so if you enjoyed the video, subscribing would really help me out. See you in the next one.